videos been recorded.
I have a few different things here. So this is opening and closing containers. And this activity is going to look very different depending on the age of kids that you have. We can start it typically closer to age 1 depending on how difficult the container is to open. And then obviously up from there. So the first kind of container that you would use, I actually couldn't find the one that I normally use for this, but it's this size container is a pretty decent size container, but what you want is something that is see-through. Oh look, you even have something on that one. So a see-through container and then some sort of an interesting object. So the reason for that is because we want to have an interesting object inside the container that the child can see so that they are engaged in wanting to open the container to get to the object. So we'll just pretend that this is see-through. And look at it and shake it and explore it. Let's get the dinosaur. And then let the child play with the dinosaur and explore the dinosaur. Right, you put the dinosaur, I'll let you do that. You put the dinosaur back in. Good job. This is not a very good container.
No.
Obviously pick the container that's like super easy to open and
We've
close.
lost
It
all the
takes
lids
very
to our good containers.
It takes very little. There are some that like just you do one little twist and it comes undone, and one little twist and it will close really well. So the first time you introduce this to very young or old infants, young toddlers, you're going to want to make sure that it's a really good container for them. So size and then easiness of opening and
Like
closing.
an empty peanut butter jar? I mean, not necessarily peanut butter, but I'm just saying like an empty
Something like that,
plastic jar
yeah.
like that.
Something like that. I would highly recommend to not use peanut butter. We've actually
No, I was just thinking like
The size.
those
yes,
kind of
but that
jars.
yes, that size is perfect. Just a little bit smaller than this with a larger
I'd rather
lid.
use my little peanut jar, like a Miracle jar. It's big.
Yeah, a small miracle jar. But yeah, peanut butter. We actually have had a child have an allergic reaction from a
Oh yeah.
like very
I was-
disinfected peanut butter jar.
Oh, that's crazy.
Go figure
It
out
is.
people want to say peanut butter.
Yeah, no, it's it's fine.
Actually, glad you mentioned that.
I've thought about using them before, but somebody actually has something happen. No, okay, cool.
Sorry, Christine.
That's cool. So that's just kind of the introduction to it to get them interested in opening and closing containers using really exaggerated hand movements. And then you can introduce an array of different containers for opening and closing. So these are makeup. If you have any makeup containers are really cool. Obviously it works really well for your guys' kids to have the objects in the container still. So it's kind of up to you and what works best for your kids as to whether or not you keep having objects in the containers for them to explore. But it does make it more interesting, like, ooh, I wonder what's inside this container, and then they're wanting to keep exploring. And then you can use different kinds of containers. This little tin can that opens. A pretty little flower. It's kind of an exploration because I don't know what's inside. And then there are some zipping containers here. So explore them, show the child how to open them, and then give the child an opportunity to
How would you do that one? Snap it open?
So I brought this one down because it's another type of
Oh, okay.
container. I couldn't find the one that I actually wanted, so I think this one actually does twist. Yeah, this one twists too. So this is kind of nice because it does a couple different things. You can either show them how to twist it or it snaps open. And then this is actually another activity I think might be on the list for next week, but in and out activities. So this one's kind of cool because then you can have a smaller hole where they can drop right
Don't
in.
put colored popsicle sticks in there. Because we did it and I ate them.
Yeah, and then it was all over
Lipstick.
their mouth. That's
Oh
funny.
yeah.
So yeah, if you're twisting lids on and off, this one might be kind of cool too because it's a little bit more difficult, but
Yeah.
it's still kind of fun.
I'm gonna stop Colton and Emma keep throwing everything away.
Hey, found them.
Emerson threw her water away.
Over here.
She used to
and we
be-
were looking for it.
She threw everything.
Yeah.
All of the lids
Or like
and
some of them will
containers
put their
that I
paper
had
towel